So welcome everyone. Welcome to actually the second Business for the Soul webinar series. If you weren't on the first one, this is just a 30-minute session, and it's really about connecting the heart and mind of business. The business owner is not separate from the actual business, especially as an entrepreneur. And I've always wanted to include this in some way. So the webinars are quite a nice way to do that. And there was really good feedback from the last webinar. So here we go with the second one. I hope you're looking forward to it. Are you looking forward to it? Okay.
For sure. Yes, definitely.
Okay. Great.
Always.
So let's go. Okay, so this webinar is about this or that. This or that. And what a nice picture, okay? I just happened to find it. But if you think about this or that, and you can answer or you can just think it, but what would this topic be about? In fact, in one or two people, what do you think this topic's about?
Choices. Maybe trying to focus where your focus is.
Where your focus is, okay. Yes, and I mean, there's actually no wrong answers. It's just how I saw it. So it's not about that, but in a way it is, Kate, you'll see what it is about now. I'll just give you the quick history of why I chose this topic. I was driving in the car, and as you know, I mean, I link everything to business. And I was listening to something on SAFM, and there was a psychologist talking about this or that. And it just hit it spot on, because what I see with many people and clients is that the stress that is caused by this or that. And what this or that is about is choices and decisions. This or that. You know, do I choose this or do I choose that? So what must I choose? What decision is the best for me? Just think about it quickly. How much angst is caused or is caused by choosing? And I'm not even talking about difficult decisions. You know where my most difficult decision is? Going to a restaurant. I mean, I can make big life decisions in an instant. And I'll go to a restaurant and I'm not sure what to eat. And then I change my mind. Then it's like, Janet, what are you eating? And then maybe I'll eat that, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm actually changing that, because even though it's only at a restaurant and it seems small, remember, we are one person. So if we're not practicing making choices and decisions in one area, then in another area, it's going to be as difficult or not as easy. I want these things to be easy, and I want to be able to trust myself. So that's why I chose this, because also when I coach, a lot of the stress and the trauma, the overwhelm is caused by making decisions. Okay, how do you make decisions? So of course I can coach you through that, which I absolutely love doing. And remember, with coaching, you're getting that neutral perspective, non-judgmental, that is going to help you make the best choice or best decision. But also, I want to give you tools. This is what this webinar is about, that you can do it on your own. Okay. So just very quickly as a background, you know, some people ask, but choices and decisions, are they the same? Are they not? They're actually very much the same, but I think there's just a little bit more weight on, they're used interchangeably, but in my view, there's a slight difference in the weight of it. And also when you read books on psychology and more educational books, when they're talking about heavier things that maybe will have more of an impact on your life, they'll use the word decision instead of choice. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, if you say the word choice or decision, which one is lighter, which one is heavier?
Choice is heavier.
Okay. So this is interesting. Whoever said choice is heavier, some people will say decision is heavier. So that's why I'm saying to you that they're used interchangeably, because depending on where you're coming from, a choice could be heavier or a decision could be heavier, but they're literally the same. So whichever word resonates with you, use that one. For me, for some reason, when I think of a decision, I'm thinking I need to put a little bit more effort here. But actually, the choice is the same. You also have to put effort there. But for me, a decision just seems a little bit more serious. But it's not really the case, okay? But if it means that for you, then you must treat it as that. So This or that is really about this or that. What do I choose? The blue one or the pink one? Okay. Yes, Joyce, I see you smiling. Lots of choices, right? Okay.
Yes.
So, did you know that successful people make their decisions quickly and change their minds slowly? So there'll be a decision, they make it, and if it's possible, if something happens and they need to change their decision, they really give it careful thought. They don't just, jump from one decision to the next. Failures, that's not my word, this is the word that he used, but people that are not successful or less successful make their decisions slowly. They poo and here, there, and all, in weeks, and talking to this person and talking to that person. By that time, maybe this thing has already passed on. So they make their decisions slowly and change their minds quickly. Now, what's fascinating for me here, especially when we start out in entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs tend to do that. It takes them a long time to get somewhere, to make the decision, because they're weighing up everything. I'll show you now what they're doing, what we're doing. But they change their minds quickly. 1 week it's LinkedIn, the next week it's WhatsApp, the next week it's something else, or there's the next best bling bling thing, because maybe that's the next best thing that's going to take me to where I want to be. Okay, so I think we must make special note of this. This guy, Andy Andrews, he wrote about this, and of course he studied it as well. But if you know Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, does everyone know that book?
Yes.
Okay, so if you don't, it's a fantastic book written in the early 1900s. And there was a guy, Napoleon Hill used to be a journalist. And, he was trying to make his way. And then a guy called Andrew Carnegie, who, if you know, he was a big guy in the steel industry. And in 1908, he was, I think, the richest guy in the world, or if not the richest, one of the richest. And he actually called Napoleon Hill in. He saw something in and called him in and said, look, I've got a project for you. And I want you to interview all the very successful people in the world. Now, remember, this is 1908. And out of your findings, out of the research, I want you to write a book, because I want what's happened to me, I want this to be available to the world. That's how Think and Grow Rich came about. This was back in 1908. And he asked Napoleon Hill, remember, he just came for an interview, and he asked Napoleon Hill, this is going to take at least 20 years of your life, because, and you're not getting paid for it either. Okay. Yes. So this is like, he will introduce you to some of the wealthiest people, but the rest is up to you. And Andrew Carnegie asked Napoleon Hill, are you interested? Would you do that? And it took him 20 seconds to respond. And of course, Andrew Carnegie knew then, because Andrew Carnegie knows that successful people make decisions quickly, based on a lot of information that's going on in your head. And guess what? Because of that, today we have the book Think and Grow Rich. Fascinating. If you haven't read it, get the book, okay? So making choices or decisions, this is what happens. This is what goes on in our body and in our brains. It's like a trade-off. We think it's a trade-off. If I do this, maybe I'm going to lose out on that. There's no guarantees. How do I know it's going to work? What if I choose that and it doesn't work? Consequences. What are the consequences financially, with your relationships, with the business? What if I choose incorrectly? And so we go this way, that way, or the other way. And it's just a circle. But the worst for me is the stress that it causes. I don't like that stress that it causes, because you can't sleep properly. You're not making your decision. You're speaking to too many people. You start getting confused, this or that. So before we go to the next slide, the next two slides are two tools that I'm going to share with you, coaching tools that I've created. Well, the one I created on my own, the other one I heard somewhere, okay, that can really help you with choosing this or that. And remember, in some areas, you might be very good at making decisions, but in other areas not, like the restaurant, like a menu for me, okay? Or maybe overall, you're just not doing well and you want to improve this area, okay? Because remember, anything that makes you feel less than happy or anxious or worried, then it means you're not bringing your best to the game and best to your business. And that will niggle at you until the choice is made. But the problem when we take so long to come to a decision, the damage is done already. You're depleted by that stage, okay? And then you're not even happy about your choice or decision anymore. So here's the first tool. Okay, so this or that versus this and that. The power of and. Why does it have to be this or that? We've been brought up that way. Our brains no longer think, but maybe I can have both. Maybe I can do both. Maybe it requires both. Okay. Now, when I apply that, first of all, it changes business strategy completely. If I think, now what if I applied and to that question? Where would it lead me? Okay. So pink or blue? Well, pink and blue. Thank you. Okay. And it just takes the stress off completely. Now, I'll tell you a real story that happened yesterday. A client of mine, he's got a coaching bank. So what that means is he put a certain amount of money into my bank account, into his little coaching bank. And then what he likes, whenever he has a problem or stress or he needs to make a decision, then he calls me up and that comes off his time. So he buys time. Okay. And he called me, and I won't mention his name, but he was struggling he's struggling at the moment working from home because, he feels that he's getting lazy there and he's not doing what he needs to be doing or wants to be doing. So he thought, well, maybe I can go to a coffee shop or a co-working space. But now he doesn't know which one to choose. So I said, well, why not both? And then I said, sometimes you can work at home. I don't know if you've seen, but I'm in a different room at the moment because I can't work in my other room for some reason. I'm working well here. So I don't have to work in that room. I've got a few rooms in my house I can work from. So I said to him, when you feel you can work from home, work from home. But if it's not working, then go to your coffee shop. And then we took it even further and I said, well, how about finding at least 3 coffee shops? And then you can choose depending on where you're at, your location, or whichever one feels best. Because the one coffee shop, he has to pay parking there, and that gets expensive, 30, 40 Rand every day if you want to go there. So how about a coffee shop that you don't have to pay parking? So can you see how they changed the whole scenario for him? I don't have to work here or there, it can be both. And guess what? I get to choose. One thing about human beings, they like to choose. Okay. So this and that. My litmus test, I am watching the time, so don't worry. My litmus test is, now this is the interesting thing, guys. Sometimes this or that causes stress, but sometimes this and that can cause stress. It's just too much. I can't deal with it. I can't cope. So my litmus test for myself is, if something's causing stress, don't do it. So which is the other one? So maybe this time I have to decide this or that, the pink or the blue. I'm going for the pink. Relief. You know that feeling? Relief of having made a decision. Okay. So you've got tools here now, but you must check in with yourself about which one, I don't even want to say less stress, which one makes you more excited? Which one makes you happier? You can feel that, like, oh, this is exciting, this and that. Now I can work here, there, and everywhere. That's exciting. Then you know you're on you're on the right track. But if something's causing you to feel heavy and concerned and worried, and you're thinking about it all the time, that's an indicator for you that it's the wrong path for you for that particular decision. Okay, so that's the one tool I want to share. How do you like that, guys?
Fabulous.
Good. Helpful?
Absolutely.
Yes. Good. Now, just before I go on to the next tool, the challenge for us as human beings is to remember we have this tool available to us. Because we're so used to this or that. It's imprinted in our brain. We've got to do this all the time. We've got to practice before this and that becomes a possibility. Okay.
It comes from the scarcity mentality, Kim. You're
Yes.
kind of you're always thinking less instead of thinking bigger, you know?
Yeah, I love that. Expansion, bigger, more. Okay. And the whole word more, when some people hear more, they already feel bad and guilty because we were kind of taught not to want more. The more I have, the more people I can help. That's the way I see it. Okay.
My problem, Kim, is I have so many ideas to do, and it's a matter of man hours to make it happen.
Okay, so choose which one is first, okay? So what I did very quickly, Janet, what I did today, I wrote down, where did I write it here? I'll tell you exactly what I even called it, the magical to-do list. So I wrote down 12 things that I absolutely have to do, and then I chose 3 that I want done, now, okay? And then I just focused on those 3 for this morning. And then I kind of do a vision board in my head and imagine it working out and thinking this is going to be done by the end of the day. Okay, another little tip there, if you're not
Awesome.
already doing it. Now, I love this second tool for success. It's a 3-step process called the heart, mind, and body. Okay, now when you've got a decision or a choice to make, you check in with these 3, and I'll show you how. So you check in with the heart. How are you feeling? Are it negative feelings or positive feelings? Is it making you feel happy or is it making you feel sad? How are you feeling? If it's a good feeling, it's a check. If it's not, it's a cross. Then you go to your mind. Your mind is a very valuable tool. Your mind has all the information, the research. It's got a lot of stuff that we can use. It kind of weighs up the pros and cons. What does the mind say? Is this a good idea or not? After weighing it up, looking at the risks. Check or cross. And then you go to your body. What is the body feeling? Now, if you don't know this, like if I get excited, I can't even explain to you. I feel like this, okay? It's just such an amazing feeling. But when my body doesn't like it, especially, I know my body now. So if it really doesn't like it, I almost get like a paralytic feeling in my arms. Or I just get my whole body seems to sink down, okay? Everybody's body will do something different. So if the body's feeling like this, it's a check. But if it's feeling scared and restricted, or you got terrible butterflies in your stomach, or you feeling nauseous, some people feel nauseous, whatever it may be, then it's a cross. And the rule is either if you have 3 checks, go for it. If you have 2 checks, go for it. But if you only have 1 check, no matter what your mind says, don't go for it. Okay, the evidence is there, but somehow because we want what we want, we will still ignore the feedback. And normally when we go against these kinds of things, there's a little bit of hurry-curry. Okay, so I love that because, you know, when we make a decision, we don't think like this. We may subconsciously think on all these 3 levels, but if you put focus on it, there's your word, Kate. If you put focus, now what does the heart think? How am I feeling? What is the emotion around this? What does my mind say? My mind's weighed up everything. Okay, cool. What does my body say? Instead of just 1 check. Okay, so that's the 3-step process. So now you've got 2 that you can apply at any time. Okay, so you can apply both as well, right? So you apply the and then you check in with your 3-step process. You like that, everyone?
Yes, definitely.
It really helps me. Once again, we've got to remember we've got this tool available to us. Because when we've got a decision to make or when we've got a choice to make, we're so in the thick of it, we forget that we've got all these tools. It's very interesting. So we have to practice until it just becomes almost like normal. Okay, so to improve your decision-making process, first of all, ask yourself if it could look different if you applied the AND tool. Could it look different? Before committing, check in with your heart, mind, and body. Then, after you've been practicing this, start reflecting on the success of using these tools. Measure your success over time with making choices and decisions, with using these tools, doing something differently. What are the outcomes? Ask yourself, is it easier making choices and decisions? Do you make them quicker than before? Okay, remember the Napoleon Hill story. How long does it actually take you to make a decision? Do you have to go home and ask your friend or your husband or, and call the whole world and like a whole, give me a week and then I'll make my decision. And if someone says, but I need it right now, what are you going to do? Because I love this third point. The more you do this, you will start trusting yourself more. If you see the experience, you're reaping the rewards. So do you trust yourself more to make a choice or decision when you're using tools? And then, of course, I think the very important one, the happiness factor. Do you feel happier, excited by using tools and you're getting amazing outcomes? Okay. And anyway, just using the tool is kind of fun. Where's this going to lead to? With your businesses, everyone, especially, you can use this, of course, in anything, but that AND strategy is very, very valuable for our businesses. If I applied AND to this, how would it look? Okay, so that's really how we can improve our decision-making process. So making your next choice or decision, I want you to look like this. Okay, hey, Joy, I see you smiling there, and everyone actually. You know that feeling, right? You know that feeling. That's how we must feel. Because if we feel like that about a choice or decision, like everything else is just, it doesn't matter if something comes along the way, because we're so excited, we've got the energy for it, we will manage it. Okay. And it all comes with practice, 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 practice. Okay. So just before I go there, sorry, we've got a few minutes. Was this information useful?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And can you see why I call it, the business soul? Because we're starting to connect all of us to our business decision, to our life, the heart, the mind, and the body. So whole life. To me, it's whole life business coaching. Okay. Okay, so very quickly, we've got 4 minutes. Does anyone have an example recently where you had a choice or decision to make? And would these tools have helped or not?
Well, I'm on the thick of things now, Kim, as you would know. So, yeah.
Yes, yes. You've got some big choices to make. So the scary thing is for any one of us, right, is we've really got to train ourselves. We've got to train ourselves, because when it's a very big decision, and I know people who like really, really serious life decisions, for some reason, we don't want to use these tools. We just think we need to get the answer from somewhere else, or the answer must just be presented to us. Or we're in such angst that we just can't go there. We can't even focus enough to go there. But they do help. They give you perspective as well, right? That's what they're doing. They're giving you perspective. And like that client yesterday, I mean, I just love it how it always happens just before a session. That was a real life example. And, it literally, because we record time, it literally took 8 minutes. And then I said, well, Peter, how do you feel? And he said, yeah, no, this is very, very helpful. And I mean, I didn't even say goodbye and he was off the phone. Okay. From being really stressful, wanting to speak to me from 7:30 in the morning to when we did speak, and then completely relief, because there's always another way. There is another way. Okay.
Absolutely.
Any questions? Yeah, I did close the slide, but I just, you will get my email, everyone. You'll get my email with the attendance list. Remember, this is also a business forum. So there's a wonderful, for people that weren't able to be here, there were a couple of visionaries on the Zoom even before I got here, and they were networking. I mean, that's just fantastic, okay? So I will send you the attendance list and all the details. We're not spamming, but please connect with people. I have to tell you, on this forum and on the meetup, business is really happening. People are connecting. I actually have got a speaking gig in March because of this, okay? So it's about quality and not quantity, and really connecting. And also what I'll share with you, but I do want to just share it live quickly. I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but I've got a year-long program. You know, I've got my business year-long program called the Top 6 Mastermind. But, you know, I just love the personal stuff as well. So really, I'm a life and business strategist. And I've got a year-long program that's just kind of gone live. It's almost going live. Someone
Awesome.
very special is helping me out with that. But what I wanted to say is it's called You Are the Goal. You are the goal. And it's a year of personal growth like none other, so that you can manifest the life that you really, really want to live. And you know, the interesting thing is, if we think about it, most of us don't really know how we want to live, because we don't even let ourselves dream to that extent. We don't even let ourselves dream that big. Okay. So if you are interested to know more about the program, let me know. But other than that, I will send you an email with everything, and we will definitely do another webinar, Sol. But Sol, the next one is called Win-Win. Because what I've discovered is we don't really understand what win-win really, really means and the power of it. Okay, so that will be the next one. So thank you, everyone.
Sure. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you for your
Awesome.
time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Fabulous as always, Kim.
So
Thank
nice
you.
to hear you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Kim. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.